Thieves will steal our cars, our valuables, just about anything they can get their hands on. To cut down on crime and antisocial behaviour, the police and other agencies are using new tactics and technology where the bad guys actually get caught in the act.
Brilliant footage. Police officers love CCTV.
Local councils, shops and businesses are laying some traps of their own.
As soon as you walked into the picture, I knew you were yours.
And the general public too can help unsuspecting crooks get their comeuppance.
We definitely needed proof.
You're not going to get away with it, you might as well pack up.
It made them swallow with pride, it was brilliant.
So, anyone who's up to no good had better think twice. They might just get caught red-handed. Today, a hooded mugger draws a gun on a young student, something you don't expect to see on a British street.
He was aggressive. He pointed the gun towards my stomach.
But something the attacker doesn't expect. The courageous student stands up for himself. Also today, arson in a tower block. It's the scene of over 100 fires.
Dangerous, crazy. Can't put into words how much you put people in danger.
But who's setting the fires? The residents and police are hot on the trail of the culprits. And these fly tippers dumping sofas think they've got away with it. But they're furnishing the council with evidence, as hidden eyes are watching their every move. The streets of Manchester, near the university. It's the early hours of Saturday morning and a student is walking home after a night out with friends. A man brushes past him on a bicycle. But this is no innocent cyclist. He's about to put the student through a terrifying ordeal. A robbery at gunpoint. The gun is actually a detailed replica, but to the student, it looks very real.
He was aggressive, saying, "Give me what you've got, and I'm going to shoot you."
He was quietly walking home, but now this student is suddenly in fear of his life. But he bravely starts to put up a fight. It looks like a fight he can never win. And though the student doesn't know it, he is not completely on his own.
The only thing that kept going through my mind was I hope somebody do it for my daughter or son if that was happening to them.
It's a race against time to stop the attacker. Manchester is a big student city. Nearly a sixth of the population study at its two universities. Both unis are on PC Richard Beckinsale's patch, and he knows how students out on the streets of a strange city carrying phones, computers and cash can often be a target for criminals.
There is a little bit of naivety. Students moving from different areas have not experienced living in a big city before. They don't know what it's like, they don't know what the dangers are, especially late at night, street robbery, phone snatches, that kind of thing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are out there who are out to get you.
Dominic's a first-year degree student here. He doesn't want his face shown, but would like to tell his story.
Pleasant farm's quite small, so I wanted to come to a big city. My focus was just to come to university and study and enjoy myself, so I didn't think about crime.
And it's a shame he should have to. After all, he's studying to become a mechanical engineer, working to build a good life for himself in the future. And so that Dominic doesn't have to focus on crime, the university employs some people who do. There's a dedicated security team set up to protect students. They sometimes work undercover, so we can't show their faces either. Alan is a supervisor.
There's a need for campus security because we are in the middle of a very busy city and it's surrounded by a lot of areas where a lot of people come in to commit crimes, basically. We have dozens and dozens of cameras covering a wide area of the university. We are the first point of contact for any problems anybody's got.
And one cold November night, Dominic has a problem. A big problem that offers a threat to his life. He's walking back home after a night out with friends.
I think it was 10 to 4 in the morning. It's a road that I'd walk up numerous times in the day to get from university, and I'd had no concerns.
At this time of night, Alan, in his control room, is always extra vigilant. he's already noticed a man who cycled into the area and approached 2 students.
You're never sure, so we just kept watching him. And it was obviously his actions, the way he was chatting to the lads and that, there was just something not right. So we just watched him.
Alan's suspicions increase when the 2 students leave and the cyclist puts on gloves and a balaclava. As he goes to cycle off, something catches his attention across the road. It's Dominic walking home, listening to loud music. The cyclist rides past. It looks innocent enough, but really, he's checking Dominic out.
I had my earphones in and I was completely oblivious.
But then the cyclist dumps his bike behind a cash machine.
This is when it started really getting suspicious, discarding his bicycle and coming out on the main road.
Alan alerts security officers on the ground to go and take a closer look. The man heads straight for Dominic, but then things take a sudden and terrifying turn. The man pulls out a gun.
It took me by surprise. I only realised that the gun was pointed towards me when I felt it against my stomach.
Seconds later, when the firearm appeared, obviously I had to immediately tell the lads that the situation had drastically got worse. You know, this could be a major situation here.
Alan also calls the police.
Police service, please. We've got a possible male with, it looks like a handgun.
He can only watch as the armed mugger shouts his demands at Dominic.
He was aggressive, saying, "Give me what you've got, and I'm going to shoot you."
You might expect Dominic to be numb with fear and to give an armed robber whatever he wants. But no. Dominic actually faces up to the man instead.
I was angry, full of adrenaline. I told him that he couldn't have my phone. It would have taken away all my contact with family, with friends. I just didn't want him to have it.
Then Dominic even tries to grab hold of the mugger's gun.
His goal was to get something from me, and I just wanted to come out unharmed and away with all my stuff, if that was possible. And it was quite a quick reaction to grab the gun and to just hold it to the floor. I did try to pry the gun from him, but I couldn't get it.
And I'm just sat here hopeless, thinking this gun could go off at any time. I mean, it must have been terrifying for him. With that gun, you can see it being waved around.
Remember, Dominic believes he's struggling with a gunman who could shoot any second, but he keeps a cool head. He has to find a way to escape.
As we were fighting for a few minutes, and he still hadn't shot me, I think I started to doubt if he was going to do it.
He risks letting go of the gun.
I told him that he could have any money that was left in my wallet. I'd just been out on a night out and I knew that there wasn't much in there.
As a member of the public walks by, oblivious to the situation, Dominic sees an opportunity. He points to something behind his attacker. The gunman is distracted. Dominic punches him and runs away as fast as he can. The robber doesn't give chase or fire his weapon.
I didn't want to run off without distracting him further. I wanted to give myself a good chance to get away from him. So the first time I've ever hit someone was to hit him, but I thought it was suitable in order to get away.
Dominic's managed to find a way to escape, but for Alan and his security team and the police, a potentially dangerous gunman is still on the loose. Later, the university security team face the gunman.
You don't want anyone to get hurt, anyone to get shot or anything, but the experience kicks in. You just deal with things as best you can.
But there's an astonishing twist when the mugger claims that he was the one who was attacked first.
Look at him, look what he's doing now, he's grabbing hold of me. He was overpowering me.
Dominic's ordeal is, of course, very rare. Gun crime in the UK, even with replicas, is at a low. But we can all find ourselves out and about in an area that we don't know too well. So what can we do to keep ourselves safe?
It's really important to stay alert. A confident person who has a purpose and knows where they're going is far less likely to be a victim than maybe somebody who has headphones and is lost in the moment or lost in that music.
If you're approached by someone threatening you, it's really important that you draw attention to yourself, make as much noise as possible and call for help, and then as soon as possible, call 999.
Some people are really brave and confront their attackers, but actually that's not always the best option, and it's not worth them taking your life for you trying to intervene to protect your property.
Coming up, Mystery arson attacks at a tower block, and the residents feel they're under siege.
As soon as you heard the sirens, you knew exactly that's the fire brigade. They're coming here again.
But who's doing it? Is it one of their 250 neighbours? And here's a new one, a skateboarding shoplifter. He grabs a TV, glides past security, but has to pull off a speedy 180 turn when he can't find his way out of the store. But first, we're in Stoke-on-Trent. This neighbourhood has been driven potty by persistent fly tipping. The council have installed some well-placed hidden cameras to try and stop it. It's Sunday lunchtime, and while most people are at home relaxing on the couch, this couple are about to dump their couch illegally. But before they do, they notice a man nearby who's also shifting something heavy. While his girlfriend adopts an "am I bothered" pose, our man with a van has a plan. He's worried about being spotted, so he wanders down the alley to have a quick word with the other man, perhaps to compare lifting techniques, but most likely to find out if the man suspects any dodgy goings-on. Once he knows that no one's paying attention, Van Man returns and signals to his girlfriend to start offloading. They make quick work of dumping 2 sofas before getting back in the cab and driving off. But if they thought it was a case of so far so good, the dumping duo are sorely mistaken. The council's eye on the fly has recorded their vehicle's registration. Found guilty of fly tipping, they are each fined and ordered to pay costs. Hope they were sitting comfortably when they got the bad news. Criminal activity thrives on the fact that no one can keep a lookout 24 hours a day. And they know that only too well at a tower block in Lincolnshire that's been coming under repeated attack. A mysterious whodunit at a tower block in Scunthorpe, Lincolnshire. Fires keep breaking out. Over 150 blazes so far. It's arson, and the residents have no idea who's starting the fires. They've been at their wits' end.
It really was a nightmare. You couldn't sleep at night. You was always worried.
But who can be the culprit or culprits?
The selfishness for their own gratification, whatever that can be, to put others in such danger.
The police, fire service, housing charity and residents are all becoming desperate to solve the mystery. Sutton House is owned by a charity called North Lincolnshire Homes.
It is a high-rise building. We have 19 floors. Each floor has 4 flats on a communal landing, and we can have up to 280 residents.
How are you, Mary? How are you? Hello.
Residents are looked after by a caretaker service. Mary works from an office on the ground floor.
It's quite a variety of residents, really, all ages, different backgrounds. We've got some vulnerable tenants in there, some elderly tenants. Just keep an eye on them all.
19 floors is a long way to have to go down when you need to put the rubbish out. So they solved the problem by having a handy rubbish chute on each landing.
They would dispose of their rubbish through the chute, that would fall down to the bottom, and the bottom it would be collected and emptied by the caretakers.
When fires start to break out in the basement, the police realise that the chutes are involved.
We had a spate of maybe over a month, maybe 10 fires, and then they stopped for a short period, and then they started and we had something like 10 again, and it just repeated.
Whoever's setting the fires is lighting paper on one of the landings, then dropping it down the chute to ignite the rubbish in the basement.
Which automatically sets alarms off at ungodly hours in the morning. You've got the fire brigade turning up, you've got them running up and down the stairs, so it disturbs just about everybody and frightens a lot of people.
These repeated blazes become a torment for everybody in the building.
As soon as you heard the sirens, you knew exactly that's the fire brigade. They're coming here again. And then you would just hope and pray that nothing has, no damage has been done.
Just the smell of smoke, and it just travel up, unfortunately, is enough to frighten people.
Thankfully, Sutton House is solidly built.
The actual chute itself is So thick in concrete and stuff, it would have to be some explosion for it to really cause any damage.
The arson was fairly low risk, but still there was always a possibility of that risk escalating, and obviously the concern for people's safety was uppermost for us.
It's uppermost for police too. Richard Higgins was working as a detective sergeant when the fires first started. It soon became clear to him that it was going to be a tricky case to solve.
If you look at the block of flats, it's a vertical street, but it's not like a street, because on a street, people have front doors and they've generally got 4 windows. So there's 4 opportunities every time somebody comes past for somebody to see them. Whereas in the flats, there's no way of looking out onto the landing, so the chances of people being seen is cut right down.
With no witnesses to the crimes, Richard's team try using some hidden cameras, and they get what looks like a breakthrough.
We did catch somebody committing arsons who admitted to 3 arsons, and he wasn't a resident of the flats, he was visiting somebody.
That man is convicted and stops visiting the area, but
the arsons continued, so he may have set some fires, but he wasn't the arsonist.
Whoever the arsonist is, they seem to be alert to any moves made by the authorities or the residents and stay one step ahead.
It doesn't take people long to work out there's something going on, I'll behave myself.
The police, fire service and housing charity pull their resources together. They make flat-to-flat inquiries, interview residents, give awareness talks, but whenever the chase hots up, the fires stop and the trail goes cold again.
Several people may be responsible, but you just couldn't pin it down.
But it's proving it. Of course, everybody's getting frustrated because you've got to nail it, you've got to get it right.
We did feel like we were having a game of cat and mouse, but we knew that ultimately in the end we would, the arsonist would either slip up or we would catch him.
The next step really was getting the CCTV in.
The charity that owns the tower block, North Lincolnshire Homes, raises enough money to invest in some sophisticated surveillance technology.
This is our CCTV system. All 19 floors have got at least 2 cameras on. Lifts have got cameras on. Outsides have got cameras, back front doors.
Every angle is covered.
We did rather hope it would come in useful, but in actual fact it put a stop to it for a while.
It was clear that if he or she wanted to continue committing arsons, then they were going to have to go out on the street.
A little time later, Mary gets to work and hears some all too familiar news.
I came on duty one day to be told that we'd had a bin fire. I just assumed it was another bin chute fire, and because the CCTV was reasonably new, I was one of the few that knew how to work it, and I just happened to click on at the right time to find an outside bin set fire to.
Mary rewinds the footage to see who's responsible.
As soon as he walked into the picture, I knew who he was.
It's just getting light at 4:34 in the morning. A male resident called Peter Dixon saunters across to an industrial bin. He spends the next minute leaning over the side of it. Then he wanders off. 2 minutes later, flames appear. And then the fire really gets going. Mary knows she's looking at some red-hot evidence.
I must admit I was right chuffed, because I thought, yes, we finally got somebody for this. Yeah, and I just managed to trace him all the way back to his property, so we knew exactly who it was. We put times to it and everything. It was buzzing.
News of the breakthrough reaches Richard at the police station.
I was over the moon, and he was arrested and brought to the police station, at which point he wasn't as happy as I was. He was sick that he'd actually been beaten.
It appears that Dixon had failed to see one of the cameras that overlooks the bin.
That's the camera that the gentleman spotted, pointing a totally different way. This is actually the camera we caught him on, which points directly to the bins that we've got there that he set fire to.
Why he lit the fires remains a mystery.
I don't know whether he had a fascination with fire engines or the sheer thrill of lighting fires. I'm not sure why he did it, really. It's getting inside somebody's head like that. It's... I don't know.
The selfishness of people for their own gratification, whatever that can be, to put others in such danger just for a bit of excitement. It's just completely wrong.
In court, the judge agrees. For that one bin fire, Dixon is sentenced to 3 years in prison. There is no evidence that links him to all the other fires.
We can't say this person was responsible for the 160 fires in there, but since he's been on remand and sentenced, those fires have stopped.
It may be that the conviction acted as a deterrent to others, but whoever was responsible, life is now back to normal at Sutton House.
Their residents are much happier now. They're now enjoying the amount of investment that we've put into the area, and we've been really happy with the result.
Since the arsons have stopped, it is so much more relaxing and you feel a lot safer now.
Mary's happy the cameras did their job.
Absolutely pleased as punch that it paid off for us. You know, the expense of having all this equipment in, although it wasn't just for that, it had actually caught a really serious offender.
Now, as getaway vehicles go, skateboards probably aren't the obvious choice. But here's a shoplifter who thinks he knows a trick or two until he tries to pull one stunt too many. Just before closing time, and this superstore has a late customer. A hoodie-clad man carrying a skateboard. He heads for the electronics department. A member of staff offers his help. It seems the man would like a phone accessory. Difficult choice, but, yeah, this looks good, I'll have this one. The man heads off in the general direction of the checkouts, but en route, he makes a second selection, a flat-screen TV, and takes to his skateboard. He doesn't want to waste any time by actually paying for it, so he skates right for an exit. But he's forced to do a quick turnaround when he runs into a locked door. The thief brandishes a small knife to evade capture and escapes through another door. But he finally skates into trouble further down the road when the police arrest him. Presumably, it's easy to spot someone TV shopping on a skateboard. Convicted of robbery, the skateboarder is now a boarder in a prison cell. Back to Manchester and the frightening attempted robbery where a masked man has threatened a student with a gun and he's been bravely fought off. But the gunman's still on the loose. He's been tracked by the university's security staff on their CCTV cameras. They need to keep him in view until a team on the ground can get there. We can't show their faces because they sometimes work undercover.
He just decides to stroll nonchalantly back to his bike as if, you know, this is an everyday occurrence to him. What a disgusting thing to do. I mean, it's bad enough mugging someone, but to have a firearm thrust in your face or your chest is something that the poor gentleman got to live with for the rest of his life.
They need to stop this gunman while they can see him. As he cycles off, unarmed guards arrive in vehicles. They risk everything to intercept him. They're led by a brave security man called Dave.
My genuine thoughts was for the student and how he must have been feeling. I just kept thinking that I hope somebody do it for my daughter or son if that was happening to them.
Dave wrestles with the armed man.
Repeatedly going through his waistband with his trousers. We were anxiously shouting that, you know, we need the police here straight away.
PC Richard Beckinsale is arriving.
I knew that it was a situation that was violent that I was going to go into, that I needed to act quickly.
Richard immediately searches for the weapon.
I just reached into his pocket, took it out, and I remember picking it up and the weight of it, it's, you know, metal, really heavy gun. I just remember looking at it thinking, that's a real firearm, that is.
The disarmed mugger is handcuffed and taken into custody. He is identified as 32-year-old Jason Dunn.
Currently at Longside Police Station with Jason Dunn, who's been arrested on suspicion of a firearms offence and robbery. Just filming the clothing that he's wearing at this moment in time.
Dunn's clothes are seized for evidence, and on closer inspection, his gun turns out to be an extremely convincing replica.
It's a really heavy metal, and it's extremely realistic. I mean, if you're walking home 4 o'clock in the morning and someone holds that up to you, points it into your face and tells you it's a gun and they want your things, you're going to think it's a gun.
Detective Constable Laura Sheppy investigates the case.
The offender is wanting the intended victim to believe that it's a real firearm. It doesn't matter whether it works or not. You can still find yourself in prison for a very, very long period of time.
Dunn realises this, so now, unbelievably, he tries to switch the story round, saying he was the victim and the student Dominic was the aggressor.
He kneed me into my groin, and when I've gone to get it out, I think he's realised that he's grabbed it like that in my hand. So I said, yeah, let go of me, man. But yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? He was overpowering me.
Nice story.
We know that that's a complete lie, and the CCTV completely blows that version of events out of the water. Police officers love CCTV.
Dunn didn't know the whole incident's been filmed on CCTV, but even when he does, he still rather pathetically tries to cling to his story.
I think it's very important, Jason, you watch this very carefully. He does not knee you before you get that firearm out of your pocket.
Look at him, look what he's doing now, he's grabbing hold of me.
You're grabbing him and he's frightened of you.
No, and that's when he starts grabbing it now because I brought it out.
You'd brought it out.
They just need me.
Jason, this CCTV, this doesn't lie.
How scared do you think he is?
Well, how scared do you think I am?
You're the one with the gun, Jason.
Right, can I stop this now and speak to my solicitor?
It could have ended up being Dunn's word against his victims if it wasn't for the CCTV captured by the university's security team.
To have the incident from the very, very beginning, if you like, even before it started, to the very end of him being carted off by the police officers, it was the making of this case. Brilliant, brilliant footage.
Unsurprisingly, in court, Dunn pleads guilty to attempted robbery and is sentenced to 5 years in prison. Manchester University security staff are commended for their brave actions.
For them to respond so quickly and also to try and help me so quickly, I really respected that.
But Dunn may never have been caught at all if it wasn't for Dominic. By standing up for himself, he delayed Dunn long enough for the security team to catch him.
Met his match really, didn't actually think our victim would fight back, and he did.
Understandably, it took Dominic a little while to get over his experience, including some sleepless nights. But he's back on course to become a mechanical engineer.
Plans for the future would be to finish my degree and hopefully secure a good job and have as much of a good time as I can while I experience it.
That's it for today. Join us next time when police and the public will be catching more criminals red-handed.